What the heck? Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So I'm gonna start doing a little series that is gonna be books of the month.
Yes, that was plural.
Don't freak out. So I am like notorious for starting books and not finishing them, and I own so many that I've at least read the first chapter of and just haven't finished. So one of my New Year's resolutions was to actually finish books. I set myself a goal of 2 books a month, but also gauging like the size of the book. So
is she spooky thick?
I'll probably just do like 1 in 1 month. I'm going to share with you guys the ones that I finished for January, and then talk about the ones that I'm doing for this month. So since I didn't have school for most of January, I was able to read a lot more than I normally would have while in school. I was able to get through 4 books, but keep in mind, most of these I had already started. Probably like up to halfway done with some of these, so it's just a matter of finishing them. So that first one is Entre, Nous, A Woman's Guide to Finding Her Inner French Girl. So some of you guys know
I'm like obsessed with French culture.
and I have a couple other French related books. So this one was just really cute, talking about like culture, and then they'll also do like film recommendations, book recommendations. They'll talk about like iconic French women. The pages are a little messed up because I did spill wine on it. So the next one is Lucy in the Sky by Anonymous. So this is part of a set. They're all different stories. The first one is Go Ask Alice, which I feel like a lot of you may have read back in high school or middle school. Go Ask Alice is from the 70s, and it's about a girl who just has a seemingly normal middle-class life and just really goes off the rails. And it's the 70s, so you can imagine. It's in the format of diary entries, so you just kind of read her story that way. So Lucy in the Sky is super similar to that, except I'm pretty sure it's in like early 2000s because there's like texting, but also the guys wear a lot of polos, and it's in Santa Monica, so it doesn't clarify it all. But same situation of like she starts to a new school and she meets these new people and starts doing drugs, and it really just like escalates quickly. So it starts July 4th and it ends May. Well, her entries end April 28th, but it ends May 5th. So not even a full year does this girl's life just completely spiral. It's not nonfiction, but it is based on what a lot of people go through. It's an easy read and it's kind of short. So yeah, I think I honestly finished this in like a week. So then I got this wonderful book for Christmas. Shout out, thanks mom. It is Feminasty by Erin Gibson. The Complicated Woman's Guide to Surviving the Patriarchy Without Drinking Herself to Death. So it is really funny. Erin Gibson is a comedian, and she is the co-host of the Throwing Shade podcast, which is also really funny. There's a couple things that I have
Issues?
I don't know if you want to call it that. Issues about. She is a comedian, and so she treats a lot of these controversial topics with that sense of comedy. So I think a couple things maybe just come off wrong that I didn't
resonate with.
But you guys will have to give it a read. It is really good and it is really interesting, and it's funny and sad all at the same time because it's all factual, true things. And she touches on May-December romances. She talks about politics. She talks about the LGBTQ community, which the title of the chapter I love. It's Lesbians Are None of Our Business, which is amazing.
What else?
There's one chapter called The NFL Does Not Care About Your Breast Cancer. Bankrupting the Makeup Men. I mean, I love that one too. That one's a really interesting and eye-opening chapter. But yeah, so give it a go. See what you think. This next trilogy of books I finished over the span of December, January, and last night. And that is the
book got so dirty. Oh.
That is Kevin Kwan's Crazy Rich Asians trilogy,
I could definitely say we're quite affluent.
which is so good and so fun, really crazy to read.
I feel like a peasant.
The first one, Crazy Rich Asians, is now a film, and I'm sure many of you have seen it already, but it is based off of this book, and I think that they did a really good job converting the book to the movie. There's a couple things that they tweaked that I was like,
Why?
but when it comes to like making it into a film, it made sense for the movie. It's just about this girl who lives in New York and is an economics professor, and she meets and falls in love with this guy Nick, who is from Singapore, which is officially on my need to travel to list. She travels to Singapore with him to meet his crazy rich family, and drama and chaos ensues, and it's really funny and really entertaining. And then the next one is China Rich Girlfriend, which is about Nick and Rachel's wedding. They get engaged in the first one, and then this is about their wedding.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
There's like so much drama in this one. I mean, there's drama in all of them, but this one and this one have like the most drama and the most like twists and turns.
And they were roommates.
Oh my god, they were roommates.
Also, the families are hard to keep up with. This one starts with everybody who's anybody in Crazy Rich Asians, and so it talks about like Rachel, Nick, their moms, their grandparents, like all of that. Then in Rich People Problems, they started with this insane like family tree. That's crazy. And they're all interconnected and related, and then there's like all of these other characters too. So it is a little bit tricky to keep track of all the characters and stuff, but after reading it you kind of can follow. Yeah, this one talks about Nick's grandmother is more of the focus of this one. So much drama in this one. I just finished it last night and it was really good too. So it's a really good series that I highly recommend reading. Okay, so Rich People Problems was the first book of the month of February. You guys should grab it and read it and catch up with me, and then we can all read all of these books together. So that brings me to the next book that I have chosen for the month of February. A very important book. It is called White Fragility: Why It's So Hard for White People to Talk About Racism. It's a New York Times bestseller by DiAngelo. I've heard so many good things about this book and the importance of this book. So it goes, what is white fragility? In this groundbreaking and timely book, anti-racist educator DiAngelo deftly illuminates the phenomenon of white fragility. Referring to the defensive moves that white people make when challenged racially, white fragility is characterized by emotions such as anger, fear, and guilt, and by behaviors including argumentation and silence. These behaviors, in turn, function to reinstate white racial equilibrium and prevent any meaningful cross-racial dialogue. In this in-depth examination, DiAngelo explores how white fragility develops, how it protects racial inequality, and what we can do to engage more constructively. Michael Eric Dyson said, a vital, necessary, and beautiful book, a bracing call to white folk everywhere to see their whiteness for what it is and to seize the opportunity to make things better now. Really excited. I did start it and it is really good so far. I've already kind of like written in it and highlighted it, and yeah, there's like underlines and all that good thing. So chapter 1 is the challenges of talking to white people about racism. It starts, we don't see ourselves in racial terms. So she says, I am a white American raised in the United States. I have a white frame of reference and a white worldview, and I move through the world with a white experience. My experience is not a universal human experience. It is a particularly white experience in a society in which race matters profoundly, a society that is deeply separate and unequal by race. However, like most white people raised in the U.S., I was not taught to see myself in racial terms, and certainly not to draw attention to my race or to behave as if it mattered in any way. Of course, I was made aware that somebody's race mattered, and if race was discussed, it would be theirs, not mine. Yet a critical component of cross-racial skill building is the ability to sit with the discomfort of being seen racially, of having to proceed as if our race matters, which it does. Being seen racially is a common trigger of white fragility, and thus, to build our stamina, white people must face the first challenge, naming our race. So that's just the first paragraph, which is very eye-opening. I never thought of it in that sense. I've always tried to, have conversations with people and understand other people's perspectives and, try to be part of the change. And I read this thing the other day that I really appreciated, and it said, we are not born woke. It is something that we become. We grow and we change and we learn things, and so that is what I'm doing. That is what I'm trying to do. It's really important to educate yourself and be aware of things, and if you don't know something, that's okay, and you can admit to not knowing anything and then learn. I mean, that's the only way that anyone's ever going to learn anything. You first have to admit that you don't know what it is that you need to learn.
Does that make any sense? I don't know.
This is our second book of the month. I don't know if I'm going to do a third. We'll see how this goes. My English class starts today. Yay, Gen Eds. So I'm going to be doing a lot of reading for that and a lot of writing for that. So we shall see. I recommend all of these books to everybody. They're fun and enlightening and just all around good reads. So stay tuned for next month's episode, and you should read with me so you can comment and we can discuss and form a great book club.